Just let me make sure.
How the fuck? There it is. No.
Okay, we are live.
We are alive, living, and breathing. And I'm your manful handful. And I'd like to start off today's show by saying something totally impolitically correct. Something I shouldn't say, but I can't resist because there's a wild streak in my system. And what I like to say is, Mama, shorten up that dress. Because Daddy dig that mess. Oh! How you like me now? I know you didn't like me before. Hey, boy, am I glad to see you. You know, sometimes, life overwhelms us like a big wave. And let me say this. I don't know how long it's been since I've been able to get out and get with my people. 4 months, 5 months, something like that. Man, I miss you sons of bitches. All of y'all. I miss people I don't like. That's missing, right? Here's me missing you. Let me do this button. And then I'll take it off later. Here's me missing you. And you can take that to the melon bank. Is there still, I don't think we have a melon bank anymore. My dad used to talk about the melon bank. I don't think he knew the melons, but he liked the term melon bank. We're going to have some fun today. I got some songs picked out that I think you'll enjoy. I got some good high-level bull crap we're going to deal with. And I'm hoping to talk about some things that are interesting to everybody. Two of the main things I want to get with today is my Starlight family. And I have a feeling, that there are some of my people at the Starlight Lounge that right now are ordering their pierogies or their Friday fish. You like flish? Come back flighty. My grandpap used to say that. Ernie Nardini. He had a hard-on for the lady across the street. My Uncle John told my cousin John. My Uncle John was in his late 90s and living with his son John out in Vegas. And John said that, they talked on a regular basis daily. He says, and until his dad was like 95 years old, he had never heard his dad say this. And he said to his dad, who was my Uncle John, he said, how about Ernie Nardini? And he said out of the blue, and he never said it before, he says, he had a hard-on for the girl across the street. My cousin John had to call me and tell me that shit instantly because he was so excited about the fact that Ernie was a man. And he had a beautiful wife, Carmen, Minnie, my grandmother, who gave birth to Arthur Lincoln Andrew Bezio Diamundo Nardini on the goddamn kitchen table. Pushed him right out on the table. How fantastic is that? How many, my father was born on the table. No wonder I'm always hungry. Are you kidding me? Hey, let's do a little bit of a number, then we'll start talking about some Starlight bullshit. Man, am I glad to see you sons of bitches. Boy, am I glad to see you. And your old lady. And there's a couple people sitting with you. I didn't like them before, but you know what? I'm warming up to them. All of y'all in this great American family. Everybody's a different. My grandpa would say that. Everybody's a different. Been starting the show out lately with a song I just made up while I was playing another song that I was starting the show with. But I thought this one might be better for our get-togethers. And it's a little thing called It Ain't a Party Until You Get Here. Joints jumping, pimps and hoes, but there's something missing to your show. It ain't a party till you get here. When you arrive, everybody gets turned up. The joint come alive. You make my blue disappear. It ain't a party till you get here. Lights are low, band's playing, dressed to kill, people swaying. But it ain't a party till you get here. When you arrive, everybody get turned up. The joint come alive. You make my blue disappear. It ain't a party till you get here. It ain't a party till you get here. What up? Lights are low, band's playing, dressed to kill, people swaying. But it ain't a party till you get here. When you arrive, everybody get turned up. The joint come alive. You make my blue disappear. It ain't a party till you get here. I hope I've made myself perfectly clear. It ain't a party till you get here. When you get here, when you get here. As soon as you walk in a room, for other men or women, it spells doom and gloom. Because you are too hip. Too cool. Too cool. Too hip. That would be us. All of us. Each and every one of us. We have something in our shorts that's just a little special. My friend. Other people have friends. I have friends. And one of my best friends is Ronald James Esser, son of Arthur. He's a son of Arthur, as I'm a son of Arthur. And boy, I miss that crazy son of a bitch. You know, I've been playing the Starlight for 4 years straight when all this crap started happening. And in the last year of playing the Starlight, Moondog, for some reason, thought I was mad at him. For crazy reasons that I can't talk about because it's not politically correct. But he thought I was mad at him, and I knew that I wasn't, but I didn't tell him that. Because men are different. You know, men have a way about them. And for me, I'll say this. When I'm mad, I don't say nothing. That's how I roll. But anyway, I wasn't mad, but I still didn't say nothing. So I was playing for Moondog for 6 months, and for 6 months, I played for him every Friday night, and we didn't speak the whole time. We looked at each other, and I'd be up on stage. He'd look at me and go like this here. And then he'd give me a smile, and I'd go like this. And once again, that's how men do. And I know every time he'd give me the finger, he did it with love. You know, it was like a finger with a heart underneath it. If you, how could I do it? And then we'll put this. Here's a half a heart and a finger. That's my gang sign. Hey, Honshu, I love you. All at the same time. How about the Starlight Lounge? You know, when I wanted to start playing the Starlight, I had been playing Moondogs for 30 years. And I'd play once a month at least. And then I'd jump on other shows. And sometimes for a few years I did like a White Trash Tuesday. Then he moved me to White Trash Wednesday. And these were like weeknights where no cover charge and just all the knuckleheads come in. And we would do a lot of what we're doing here. You know, I got to say this. Part of doing this job as an entertainer and being on stage is knowing how to speak to people. And part of being on stage gives you the opportunity. You need put it like this, you need every tool in your box to be able to perform on a stage today. Because, you know, especially if you're doing your own music, you know, you need to find a way to get people to pay attention to the music. And one of the ways to do that is to be somebody that people might be interested in. So you start talking a little shit. You know, as I'm finding myself and getting older in this business and never stopping working, and I started doing a little bit of what I'm doing right now on stage, people would yell, "Shut up and sing, shut up and play." And I would look at it and I would go, why are they saying that? And the reason they're saying it is they hadn't seen anyone on stage working them like I was working them. You know what I mean? I'm working you. You know what I'm doing? It's kind of like when you're with a girl, you know, you take her hand and you hold it. And then when you really start getting balls, you take her hand and you put it on your leg and hold it on your leg with her hand. And then that is supposed to give her the idea, hey, this guy's setting me up for a little... And the whole time you're talking, you're loosening things up. You're letting your special somebody know, hey, you know what? You might not be all that attracted to me. You might not want to move this thing any further. But you know what? If you work the situation, you break shit down. And that's what we did on stage. And my point being on this particular point, musicians, if you're watching, players, if you're watching, the spoken word is an amazing tool if you know how to use it and you know how to get into somebody's heart and into their head by the things you say. I'm lucky. I was born the son of Art Nardini and the nephew of Larry Nardini and the cousin of little Larry Nardini. So in our family, there's a gift that some of us have, and that gift is for touching people with the spoken word. And that's what we're doing here today. Norman Nardini, Alone 11. You'd have think they'd have thrown us off the intranet by this time, right? You know, they tried to throw me out of the Pittsburgh rock scene. They blackballed me for 20, 25 years. I didn't go away. So if the internet comes to me and says, look, we don't want you around no more, we'll deal with it. The Starlight Lounge, when I got off on my point. When we were playing Moondogs, I said to Mooney, hey, because things were changing and finding gigs, and as I got older, I have less and less patience for dealing with people and meeting club owners and talking to them. I love talking to people and I love bullshitting, but on a business level, I never was good at it. And when I was young, I thought I didn't realize I wasn't good at it. And so eventually I ended up not doing it at all. So anyway, I said to Moon, I says, look, Hunter, I says, what I want to do is I want to start playing the Starlight every Friday night. I had been working. When I figured it out was a buddy of mine, Bruce Slogan, nice Polish buddy, had a joint downtown called Car Hops in the Strip. And he called me and says, hey, I bought this new joint down the Strip, new Car Hops. I'd like you to come in Friday nights. So I did about 3 or 4 months for Bruce down there. And then he called me one day and he says, hey, we got to knock this thing off. I says, dude, this is picking up. I'm falling in love with this. He said, I get it, but I'm sick of this business and I need to get out of the bar business. So there I was. So after a month or so, I said to Moon, Hunch, I want to start playing the Starlight every Friday night. And he says, I'm not into it. And I says, no, you don't understand. I want to start playing the Starlight every Friday night. And I'm going to start playing the Starlight every Friday night. And it's going to be great. and this is going to work out. I'm sure that I know what I'm talking about. He says, I don't want to do it. And I think I just called him and says, hey, Friday night, we're playing the Starlight. I'm going to be there. And there it is. And you're going to deal with it. That's the kind of relationship me and her have. I called him her. How much do you love me? How much do you love me? For saying that. And if you guys are at the Starlight now, you know what I mean? Look at him, instead of calling him Ron, like most people do, call him Rhonda. From my lips to yours. So anyway, so we did. We moved into the Starlight. We were playing on the floor in that corner. And I knew right away. I'm like, are you kidding me? This bar, the bar at the Starlight is right in front of the stage. And it's a double rows like this. So I'm standing there and I got a row here and a row here of people with a drink in their hand or a fork. Because they're pig facing or they're boozing, having a couple of looseners. And that's all I need. What I tell you before, I'm a clown looking for a circus. And I saw the circus there. And I knew. So I just told him, I said, dude, we're in. We're just doing this. You're going to deal with it. And we're going to win. This is the right move. Because now people don't have to come wondering where I'm going to be. They'll know where I'm going to be. They'll come to me. They'll come to us. And they'll tell their friends, Friday night, it's understood. Nicodemus, he's at the Starlight, baby. Get you a fish sandwich. Get you some rogies, man. Hey, did you guys know that on Kamal Bell's show, The Shades of America, I think they filmed their first show with some scenes from the Starlight. And I know that James and Mooney were in there. How great is that? It's fantastic, right? And also, I don't know if you guys know this, but a few years ago, Guy Fieri came to the Starlight and filmed an episode and hung out with Moondog in the kitchen. How about that? That's another case of a guinea and a kraut, which would be me and Mooney, and him and Guy Fieri rubbing up against one another, talking loud and saying nothing. And just recently, I don't know if Guy Fieri's been back yet, but I do know he's coming back. But I think he has already been there and filmed another episode for, I don't know if it's for the same show, but I think he fell in love with Moondog with Rhonda, as have I. You know, at the Starlight, 4 years straight, pierogies, fish. After I was there for a couple years, my cousin John, who I mentioned from Vegas, whose father talked about Ernie Nardini having a hard-on for the girl across the street, he came in from Vegas, beautiful family and friends. And every year he would come in, and like usually in October, and then we'd all gather at the Starlight and we'd all hang out and just have a fantastic time. And then my cousin John said, "Hey, cuz," he says, "you don't have no stage there." He says, "It's in the back where some of us are sitting." He says, we can't see you like we want." I says, "I know, but you know, what are we gonna do?" He says, "Hey, I want to get you a stage." I says, "What do you mean?" He says, "I'm gonna have a stage put in for you." And I said, "Are you serious?" He says, "Yeah, I'm serious." And so he sent in a wonderful carpenter and built this beautiful stage, in perfect space in our corner, right in front of my 2 rows of bar, and real pro, and give us what I would call an upgrade. How delicious is that, right? So now at the Starlight we have our own goddamn stage where this bull can rage. You like that kind of talk? I was hoping you might. I stole that line from the Jake LaMotta movie with De Niro. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that later today, because I met Joey Pesci before that movie came out in New York City with Fat Frankie Scanlaro, his cousin. You should have met this guinea, Fat Frankie. Yo, Frank! And one thing I want to say about the Starlight, another thing that, while playing the Starlight, I met this guy who was 87 years old. And he would come in and watch us work. And I just thought, well, he's older than all of us. You know, but he was hanging. He started coming in every week. And then he started coming up and talking to me and saying, boy, I like that. He says, you mean you write all this music? I said, yeah. He says, you mean you write the songs? I says, yeah, that's what I do. And he says, you mean it's you that, all these songs you're playing, you make up all the words and all the music? I says, yeah, that's what we do. And he was, hadn't seen that happen before. But one thing I learned, the more they come back, the more those songs and more the bullshit seems normal. And it's how cool is that? But he understood it and got the fact that what we were doing is totally unique, because we're doing it with music that you ain't heard before unless you're one of us. And really good guy named George Henderson. And then he told me he was a left-handed drummer. And I said, well, let me get you up to play a song. He says, well, I'm left-handed. You have to change the set around. So we did it one night, and I forget what we played. We might have played, probably played a cover song, so something he would understand. I knew, felt comfortable with it. We might have done Walking After Midnight or something like a Patsy Cline tune or something. And he just shuffled it out. Played real straight and real nice. And from that time on, he was my one-song left-handed drummer. That's what he'd always tell me. It's me, your one-song left-handed drummer. But after getting to know us all, and then everybody in the... Here's the thing about the Starlight. When you come in the first time, you're a stranger. When you leave the first time, you're not a stranger anymore. Because the Starlight family... And the Starlight family is a thing. And I didn't know what was going to happen. I knew that I had people and relationships from all the years that I had been working. But the Starlight, being so in town, and it was the first time I really did something like this happened. And this whole gathering of people started coming every week. And it became what I called our Starlight family. And it was so cool. And I can't wait to get back to it. I can't wait to just have everybody know again. Friday night, what are you doing? Well, you don't even ask, because you'll be at the Starlight. Norman's there, always knucklehead. You don't know who's going to be on stage, because sometimes that changes. But my old ass is going to be there. And I'm going to be talking loud and saying nothing. But this family, how cool is that? And part of the Starlight family is a little friend of ours who Rhonda James Esser met in Erie, name of Vincent Price. Yeah, like the Scary Movie actor, same name, Vincent Price. And when Moondog met him, they introduced him to Vincent and said, hello, Vincent, this is Moondog. And then Vincent replied, well, I'm Superdog. So he has an alias of Vincent Superdog Price. Because Moondog was a dog, he became a dog as well. And Vincent had been living in Erie and struggling, kind of like a street person. And he's 100% Yakimo Indian. And maybe a year or two ago, he came in, he told me his brother had just passed away. And his brother was out living in Yakimo, Washington, I believe, where the tribe and his whole family was. And he told me that, I says, what was your brother's name? He said, Horse. And then he smiled when he said it. I was like, dude, how cool is that? And then I said, and he said, that's his Indian name. And then I think he said I says, what's his God-given name? And he said, I think his name was Clarence, but everyone called him Horse. He said he's a bouncer at a bar there, and he likes to smoke a lot of lettuce. And I was like, you think I'm mad at him for that? Also, when I first met Vincent, I guess he heard someone had told him that Norman's is a reefer smoker, and he said to me, "Hey, do you have any lettuce?" And I said, "Lettuce." I says, "What do I look like, the greengrocer?" He goes, "Lettuce." And I says, "Come with me and we'll tune up." You know, at the time, I've had guys working with me that would tune guitars. Skibo, he would tune the guitars, but who tunes the band? The guitars are in tune, but is the band in tune? You know how you tune up the band? We used to do it in the truck. Or whenever we get to a club, you would do it like this. Through all my career, all the way back to the Diamonds, you would always say to the club owner, "Hey, where is the place we can go to smoke a couple joints?" You don't ask if you could, you assume that you can. Now you just want to know where the place is. And I've taught other band leaders that. And they says, "Well, how do you do it?" And I says, "Here's how you do it. You don't even consider the fact that you couldn't be allowed to do it. You would assume that he knows that you're a reefer smoker and he already has a place to send you. So you say, "Hey, where can we go to smoke?" And they usually send you to the basement, or more often than not, though, it's out behind the dumpster where you came in. But Vincent Price, if you're watching us now, may I blow you a couple kisses? To my favorite 100% tribe elder, Vincent Superdog Price, I give you a... And if I had my bubble gun here, I'd shoot you with it. How about this guy? You know what else is cool about the Starlight? People come to sit in. And also, for a guy like me, a lot of musicians, like, they have their thing. And they do, like they have a list of, 30 songs or 50 songs. This is their career, and this is what they play when you see them. I'm a different kind of guy. I've been around so long that I have eras of career, of songs. And I'm a very, much a workhorse, compulsive maniac. So I have songs from eras, and songs I've written for other people, and songs from studying blues music, and songs from studying country music, and songs from studying songwriters, all that, and heavier stuff. All that shit, has compounded, and I try to be aware of it all and keep as much available as I can. And so it's great that, like sometimes if we're playing, Larry, who works with me, keys, sax, Larry Seifers, very talented musician. He also plays that goddamn flute, but what are you going to do? Jesus Christ. He started bringing... I didn't know. We started working together, and then, everything's cool. And then one day, we're on stage, and I don't know what the hell I was playing. He pulls out a goddamn flute and starts playing it on my stage. I looked over, and I thought, what the... Do you know whose stage you're on? You're playing a goddamn flute on Norman Nardini's stage? We don't play flutes. We rock and roll people. But he's a great musician and a great guy. So I let it go. But one time when I was on stage, it slipped out, and I said, play that goddamn thing, the goddamn flute. And that dates back to... Larry and I had a stint back in the late 80s of working together, and I think we did some tours around the country. And at the time is when cable TV started. And at that time, Zamfir and Boxcar Willie, those guys were selling their records on cable TV, and it was working, and it was a business. So we'd always see commercials for Zamfir and the pan flute, and that turned into Zamfir and the damn flute, just in conversation. And I think that's all these years later when Larry, I forgot about that thing when he'd play it in the 80s. And so I think the damn flute and then goddamn flute came from Zamfir, master of the damn flute, because we used to always make fun of Zamfir. And in fact, in the 80s, every once in a while we call Larry Zam Lair, master of the damn flute. But you never know who would come into the Starlight to sit in. I have a couple things that I wrote down, some people that have come in. Donnie Zeck, really talented Pittsburgh cat. Guitar player, singer, songwriter, and above all that, entertainer. Very skilled entertainer, very good organizer of an audience, which is a unique talent. Very few guys can go in playing original music and trick that audience into being into it. And not only into it, excited about it and being a part of the miracle. He's one of the only guys in town that has that kind of skill. They never played his shit on the radio. They didn't. No one was pumping his name up. But he went into the room, and he had some great cats playing with him. The brothers, the McGuires, bass and drums, and he had a guy on guitar back in the day, Taylor. I think Mark Anderson played with him for a while too. Taylor, I think he passed on. But Donnie would come to the Starlight. Billy Price has been there many times, sits in. Bubs McKeag. How fantastic is he? That little half a Mick. You know, he told me he's half hunky. And that brought to mind that little joke that I've said many times. I say it to my buddy at the studio, and I'd say, who's all hunky. And he recently told me, my buddy told me, he said, you know, I just found out that there's no one in my family history ever that wasn't a hunky. And I got the biggest smile on my face, and it made me think of Moondog when his wife said to me, you know, if I'd have known Ron was half hunky, I'd have never married him. She said that, and I got the biggest smile on my face, and to this day I still use that line on him. And he just gives me a big smile, and he goes, "You've been talking to my old lady, right?" How you doing? Sherry Richards, Andrea Pearl, Tina Daniels, Tom Legat, Rick Prodfoot, all come out. And then I have a couple of secret weapons that have come out, which would be, and work with me when Larry couldn't come out. I have Lamont effin Samuels and Texas effin Tex are the two guys that I would use first call to sub for Larry when Larry would get a big money gig with Pure Gold playing oldies. You know, when Larry would he would play on all them shows down at the Benham Center that Channel 13 with TJ Lubinsky, and they still play those shows today. And I think they ended up selling that shit to Time Life. Somebody made some dinero on that shit. But Larry would play on those, and when I would announce it on stage, Larry would go like, "I hope they don't hold it against me," because it was doo-wop music, and hey, I like doo-wop music because I like music. I mean, it can get on your nerves after a while, and it can. But you know, you think of Dion. Where'd he come from? How about Dion DeMuch, that little greaseball? Still doing it at a high level. You know, he wrote Abraham Martin and John. Dion DeMuch wrote that shit. You got to give him a little pat on the ass for that, right? Come here. You know, how about Running Around Sue? I'm still mad at that bitch for cheating on him. I hope he forgave her. And I hope they got, moved on. Because that's what you do in life. Forgive, forget. Run around Sue. Keep away from a run around Sue. Starlight Lounge. My people, right now what I'd like to do is blow a couple kisses to my Starlighters. Ron and Bond. How about them two? Brother Ron, who used to work with us at the Tigers, where he met Bonnie. Where'd he meet her? Starlight. And since that time, a few years ago, you know what's been happening? They got together and they're still hunching like a couple of monkeys. I know he's a hunch monster. And you know what? I see a smile on her face every time I see her. You know what line she loves? She loves that line. She always gives me a look on that one line in Messing with the Law when I say, and she slapped on the cuffs when I took her downtown. She was one of the first people in the audience that picked up on that line. She looked at me like, "What, you goddamn little devil, you little monkey." How about John and Sandy? sitting right in the corner, right in front of Harry. Perfect subjects for leech scumbags like me and Harry. Right before we go on stage, or for that, that 40 minutes before you get up there, you're there, but you ain't on yet. And they would order their dinners. And me and Harry would go, not at the same time, because we got respect, but we would matriculate over to where the two of those were sitting at the corner there, and perhaps put a hand out and grab a fried zucchini piece or some French fries. And and Harry would do the same, because we both came from the Warren King school of bum musicians that never had to buy a meal, because you don't buy meals because people will let you eat off their plates. And most of our fans are too nice of people to tell you, get your hands off of my food and get out of here while I'm eating. My people weren't like that. They welcome you. So say hello to those guys. Diane, the bartender. Laurie, bartender. Diane, I want to apologize for every time I got on stage and made fun of you for the way you wash glasses. Because Diane would be bent at the bar. She'd be washing glasses, and there's like one of them little things that sticks up, and you take the glass and you move it. And I look out from the stage, and there'd be Diane. She'd be going like this. And then I would alert the audience. I'd go, check out Diane. She's... I don't think she liked that. And her brother Johnny. How about that big buck of a boy? Johnny would announce cornbread every time we played it. And he's a big buck. And it was very cool, very cool. Marcia. How about Marcia? That crazy bitch. Love her. And all those folks met a lot of my family. My sister Dustpan. Hey, let's do Dustpan Annie later today. And her fam and her kids would come out, and they started meeting all the, like I say, if you walk into Starlight the first time as a stranger, you walk out, you ain't a stranger no more, because someone's going to come over and interrogate you. What are you doing here? Why'd you show up at Friday night at the Starlight? It ain't an accident you're here. We want to know who you are, what you're about, what you're into. How about Paulie? That little monkey. God damn, I'll give him a kick right in the ass. Get over here! Little prick. Younger than the rest of us, but understood the older music and had a real interest in the music of that came before he was even around. And nothing excites me more than to see a young person who has an interest in what we do. I know when I was a kid, I was interested in I was interested in the Stones and the Beatles, the Animals, all that stuff. But I was also interested in Frank. You know what I mean? Because my mother, when Frank would play, that's life, my mother would turn from my mother into a chick. A chick when Frank Sinatra music came on. When she heard That's Life. I saw a different person than the person that would beat my ass and beat me with a shoe when I'd step out of line, which I did every occasion I could. But when Frank would come on, when she would hear, I did it my way. Nothing made her happier than to hear that. To hear Frank singing. He didn't write it. Paul Anka, that little greaseball, wrote My Way. He also wrote the Tonight Show theme. But although Frank didn't write My Way, he lived it. The life he lived, I don't know if you know the story, and I don't know it all, but my mother did. And he struggled and he fought, to become an actor and to become an attraction as an actor. And to have a continued career that went from when he was young all the way to the end of his life. It's really hard to keep people's interest. Most people have a hit record and then they drift back into their normal life. Frank didn't do that. There's a lot, guys from New Jersey that have done this. Springsteen, Bonge, Southside. All those guys had some good things happen for them when they were young, but they were the kind of guys, Dagos, may I use the word, that had a staying power and lived the life of an entertainer, which is what? Too hip. And Frank taught them how. You know what Racetrack Mike used to say about Frank Sinatra? His mother. Here's Racetrack Mike. Hello, Norman. You're an inch. You're a nickel rocket pimp. You're a stone jag over there. You're from that shithole town, Schittsburg. Do you bathe, Norman? Frank Sinatra, his mother was an abortionist. He still owes Skinny Amata $500. That's what he'd talk. Racetrack Mike. But that was from Cheers. We're going to talk about Cheers another day. Man, am I glad to be here. I should play a song because I'm just getting into some. Can you guys tell how bad I've needed the see-ins? Can you tell how my heart will soar with the eagle when I can get my old ass up on stage again and look out and see the faces of my peeps, man? Later today, as we move along, we're going to talk about 1980. What a great year. That was the year the Tigers really, we started the Tigers in 79, but 80 was the year that we solidified the lineup and had that, 5-year run with that particular 5-piece lineup. The song I want to do right now is a song I wrote when Paul Shook passed away. What a gee, right? What kind of gee was this guy? He was his father's son, bunch of brothers. Bobby, Mike, Reg, the youngest. I think Shook was the oldest, couple sisters. But when Shook passed, a song came out of me, and I'd like to whoop it on you right now. I'd like to send it out to every son of a bitch ever grew up in Millville and had a flair for a full life. I don't know what is around here, like when we were kids, like when you wanted to have a full life and had hopes and dreams, people didn't get that. They kind of looked down at you and thought you were nuts. Who are you to think you could have that? Shook was crazy enough to think that he could get a lot out of life. And so he did. I'd like to play a song I wrote for my wonderful friend. We used to call him Hootie. That's way before Hootie and his Blowfish. My old lady likes Hootie. And she liked his career with the band, and she also likes his country career. He's had a second career. Quite a guy. I think Shook's father's name was Paul. I think. What a Pittsburgh guy his old man was. Totally. Stone cold. Pittsburgh. Millville. Together so very long ago. Through that nasty weather, we navigate the storm. In over our heads, but we had each other's back. Paul come from the other side of town, and I never cut him no slack. Now that boy plays guitar, strapped on like a gun, with his meat hook hacking, getting business done. Smiling at the girls, pumping up his chest, big old blue eyes shining, hair a perfect mess. We was brothers, it was me and mine against all of y'all. We stood together, we stood tall. Just another rock and roll band with our backs against the wall. God took a piece of me when God took Paul. There was a band of angels playing left-handed air guitar, wearing cut-off tees, rock and roll boots, slugging down beers like they didn't give a hoot. I'm still out here dragging my ass around these bars. Paul's up in rock and roll heaven, playing his guitar. There's nights I still hear him, too loud in a little out of tune. Take me back to a time ended way too soon. We was brothers, it was me and mine against all of y'all. When we stood together, we stood tall. Just another rock and roll band with our backs against the wall. God took a piece of me when God took Paul. God took a piece of me when God took Paul. When God took Paul. When God took Paul. When God took Paul. He took a piece of us all. A rocker for a rocker. How about Shook? Gun. Cutting off the sleeves of their t-shirts. MTV Age. Pipes. I never had pipes. I never wanted to leave my arms out there because people see, look, if a chicken had arms, they'd look like my arms, right? But a chicken don't even have arms. Yeah, they had pipes. And I realized, I says, you know what? That man meat, it sells. You know, you put a little man meat up there. Put it like this. Everybody back in the day wants to talk about, you know, who was your favorite band? The House Rockers, man. Oh, wow. The Silencers. Some would say the Tigers. But everyone would agree. The best looking women. Whose gig were they at? Whose gig did they come to? Me! And it wasn't just because of me. But you know what it was because? Because I had some meat up there. And the contrast between my little chicken body and my boys, who all look like men. Me, what did I look like? Somewhere between a man and a boy. Or not even. Somewhere between a teenager and a boy. That's about all I could put out there at that time. Hey, I want to say, when I said House Rockers, it instantly hit me of another guitar playing friend of mine that passed on. Gary Scalise, Guitar Slim, one of my best friends for life, passed on in 1990, right around the time the great Stevie Ray Vaughan passed. And you know, when you lose the ones that you love, he went quick. And and you know, when he went, I heard that he was in a bed. He was in Florida when he passed. And when he went, he had been sick, and you know, he got up out of bed and started walking. And they ran over to grab him because he was going. He might have passed. And they said, "Where are you going, Gary?" He said, "I'm going to see Norman." And then he passed on. Wow. The real house rocker. The house rocker that lived the life. That's how I always saw him. And they got him out of there as fast as they could because they didn't want no real rock and rollers like that. Not like that. And Slim, he moved above the triangle. Him and Bobby the Fat Man Boyer both ended up living above the triangle, and which is right half a block and across the street from where we are right now at the East Side Sound. And that way I get to see him all the time. And Slim would call me, and he would always say, "Hey, I was at the time I was living on Woodstock Avenue on the other side of Swissville, about a 8-10 minute walk from here." And he said, "I need to see." He says, "I need some inspiration." And that means he needed to wake up and have a little chaloon. And we would sit on my porch and share one. And he'd go, how cool was that? I think of me and him sitting there and having coffee and a little, and just looking at each other and loving each other. And at the time, I didn't know that I was going to be the lucky one to end up living to be 70 years old. I didn't know that. And at the time, I didn't know. I think he lost his life around the age of 38 or so, which is the same age that Justin Towns Earl, Steve Earle's son, passed away this week at the age of 38. Very talented kid. Too sad. Too sad. But Gary Guitar Slim, if you're in rock and roll heaven now, which I assume you are, and you're taking an old shot at an old buddy, I give to you one of these. And if I had my bubble gun, I'd shoot your ass with it in a minute. I'd give you a couple shots. Bang, bang, bang. And I know you'd put a big smile on your face. I miss you and I love you. There's two of them. Paul Shook, Guitar Slim. Guitar players, one right-handed, one left-handed, from here in Pittsburgh. From the 80s that got up on the stages, drug their asses across the boards, putting on a show, right? How do you love that? Not as much as I do. Not as much as I do. Hey, you know what? I'd like to order some pierogies from the Starlight. Moondog, if you're listening, give me an order of pierogies and a couple fish sandwiches, and I'll pick them up on my way home tonight. So, put a little food. Tonight I can eat. I don't have to gig. So, put a little something on for me, save it, and I'll stop by. And as soon as I come in, I'm going to give you a smack right on the shit can. Bang! Right on your white cakes. Half German, half hunky. Love that. It's a good mix. 1980. I don't know what the hell you guys were doing in 1980, but I know what I was doing. I was dragging my ass across the boards, baby. Trying to be somebody. I had just left the Diamonds in early 79. We talked about that last show. And started the Tigers. In May, actually, was our first date of 79. And then we navigated through that time. I had David Johns and Derek Edwards on drums at that time. David didn't last long, but boy, he was a great one. Robbie Jones' little brother, monster drummer. And when he left, we picked up Derek Edwards, who had never played with a band like us, but a talented, educated musician. It wasn't no problem. He did whatever we needed as a drummer, and a great guy, but totally different culturally, which was fun and different. But let's start off with 1980, and I just looked through my book in 1980 and picked out some dates of things that happened in that year that would be fun. So through 1979, we had been using Warren and the Tigers on the local dates, and I just saw this, a little sentence I said. On January 1st of 1980, I told Warren that we weren't going to be using him on dates because at the time, the Silencers were putting their thing together and putting their album. I can't remember when exactly their album came out. But I knew that he was, even when he would take dates, I knew the whole time he wasn't going to be permanent with us. But I guess I had just decided I needed to wean myself away from one of the greatest guitar players in the country if I was going to stand on my own 2 feet, especially because he wasn't planning on staying. On January 5th, I played Fat City and Resistance opened the show. And Paul Shook played with Resistance that night. And it was probably the first time I saw Shook and his beautiful blue eyes and chesty body and arm pipes. January 9, 1980, I flew to New York City for a meeting with a gentleman, and I can't remember what country he was from. His name was Niko Anducic, and he was from Europe, and he had moved to New York to try and take some people's from his country's money and invest in the American music business. And so I talked to him about signing a deal for publishing, and publishing is, if you don't know what it is, a lot of musicians don't even know. Publishing is the ownership of material. So when a song is written, the money that comes in from that song is divided into 2 equal halves. The songwriter, who is the guy that actually wrote the song, and the publisher is the person who owns the song. And those 2 things is how money comes in, and a lot of it has over the years. Not so much now. But I had a meeting with my buddy Nico about getting involved. On January 14th, we played CBGBs. And I believe on that show it was just a 3-piece band. It was me, Gunn, and Derek Edwards. And I remember Derek Edwards was afraid to be in New York City. He had never been out of Pittsburgh much. In fact, I think even when I booked a gig in New York and I told him we were going to be playing at CBGB's, he didn't believe that we were going to do it. He thought I was making that up, and I says, no, we're doing it. He says, well, how'd you get the gig? I said, a buddy of mine. And actually the buddy was Scotty Tallarico, who I had, was a friend of mine who was living in Florida, was in the dance music business. But he hooked up the date. When I told Derek about it, he was like, you're making that up. And I was like, no, dude, we're playing New York City. On February 21st, which was probably about 6 or 7 months after Derek had joined the band, Derek told me he wanted to quit. And he joined a band called Toys, who I don't think any of you have ever heard of. March 1st, played Fat City, Resistance opened. March 8th, Fat City, Resistance opened, Shook sat in, and so did Herman Granati. And I also wrote this here. We'll get to it in a second. On March 12th, I had a meeting with Jim G. Antonio in New York City, I believe, or New Jersey, I'm not sure where it was. And Jim G. Antonio was booking the Fastlane, which was the New Jersey club of Asbury Park Club that ended up becoming our East Coast home. And I got to meet Jim and talked about him bringing us in to play there. How cool was that, right? On March 14th, I went to a club in New York City called the Heat Club and saw an act named Mickey Clean, kind of like a punker. And that night, Walter Stedding, a fiddle player, Debbie Harry from that group Blondie, and her husband, Chris Stein, jammed with Mickey Clean. And Mickey Clean's thing was this. How cool was this? He was not a good-looking man. And the thing that was unique about it was like his eyeballs were bigger than his head could hold, so they kind of like bulged out. I don't know if I'm doing it right, but how do you push your eyeballs out so they're like farther out of your head than most people's? So in other words, his eyeballs were like huge, and when you saw him, you never saw anyone that quite looked like Mickey Clean. And what a great name, right? What's your name? Mickey Clean. And he had a record. Everybody had singles out at the time, 7 inchers. And he had a picture sleeve on it. And on the picture sleeve, it was filled with faces. Just like pasted, like with some famous people and just some, New York street people. And like probably on this little 7-inch single, there were probably like 100 faces. And then one of the faces on there was Mickey Clean's face with his eyes bulging out of his head. And the name of the record was Just Another Face in the Crowd. But when you saw his face, it was not just another face. It was Mickey effing Clean, and with his eyes bugging out. Oh, fantastic shit. Loved it. And I met Mickey because he hung out with at Banger and Lenny's apartment in New York City, which is where I hung out. Those guys would let me stay there and put me up and put up with me. On March 16th, I found out that a gentleman named Hans Otto Bisgaard of Radio Denmark started playing Burning Up. On March 17th, I had a rehearsal at 2413 Waverly Street with me, Nason, Bullball's Gig, Mark Whitey Cooper, Sugar Ray Gunn, and that beautiful Polish boy, Mr. Paul Shook. It's our first rehearsal, March 17th, 1980. On March 20th, we played our first gig with that lineup at Mancini's in the Rocks. And that building, it's been a strip club for many, many years. Not many, many years they've been having scantily clad women run across that stage. But at that time, they had the Guinea and his geese ripping shit up. Our first gig is the Tigers there. March 29th, Nico, the publishing guy I told you about, came to see me play Fat City. And when he came, he brought an English cat that y'all might have heard of, named Rick Lee. And Rick Lee was the drummer for 10 years after, but he was also a music business cat. And he was, putting records out and getting artists signed. And I think he might still be doing business. Probably about my age, maybe a little bit older, but not much. But I got the chance to meet him and hang out with him and Rick Lee, man, 10 years after. Woodstock, right? He's up there with Alvin. No relation, I don't believe. Alvin Lee and, them English guys, they could all have the same last name and not even be related. How cool is that? Where are we at here? Okay, April 4th. Played Hennessy's in Cleveland with a Cleveland band named Lucky Pierre. If Moondog heard me say that, he's laughing right now. Because I can't tell you what a Lucky Pierre is, but I've told him what a Lucky Pierre is. I didn't know at the time. I didn't know it for 20 years what a Lucky Pierre is. But when someone told me what one was, I laughed my effing balls off. And I can't tell you on it today. Because I've already done my totally politically incorrect statement. April 15th, played Tramps in New York City. April 16th, played the Fastlane. Roger Probert from Atlantic was there. Roger ended up booking that one club in New York I used to work, but he ended up working for Capitol, he ended up working for Atlantic. He was like an A&R guy, A&R artist and repertoire, signing people, picking songs, helping artists find a way, navigate the business. I think Roger's still around. On April 16th, which is that time I met Roger, was my first gig at the Fastlane. and I opened for a band called The Rest. And The Rest was a local favorite Jersey Shore band. All young dudes. Good looking guys. Had a guitar player. Jack Ponte. Reminded me of myself. I think half Italian, half Jew. Crazy person. They had a bass player named Walter. I remember Walter. He could take his tooth out and put it back in. And they had a drummer. I forget who the drummer was, but I know my friend Pete Barnett ended up replacing him not long afterwards. And they had a keyboard player named Mick Seeley. Very cool guy. I think he played keyboards and guitar. And who I still know. And last time I was in Jersey, we got to hang out a little bit. But they had a singer named John Bon Jovi, and who was young, 18 or 19 years old. And let me say this about him. Real pretty. Jesus Christ, this kid was pretty. Like a girl, he was pretty. Nice high voice. Totally interested in the business. And not just the business, but in the music and the music people. I found out, he was a big Bruce fan, but a bigger Southside fan. And he was just a kid. But he was the star of the band, and the first time I met him, I remember after we come off the stage, I saw him and Jack on the side of the stage. I looked at John. He was a little bit white, and I says, you guys are up next. Have a great show. And he looked at me like his eyes were rolling around his head. Because when the Tigers took a stage, you didn't want to go on after us. I ain't saying we were the best musicians. I ain't saying we had the greatest music. But what I am saying is, we took the stage. You didn't want to get up there after us. Unless you had a little something in your shorts that gave you great confidence. And there's not many of those. April 29th of that year, played the Decade. So in that month, played Tramps, and plus other dates, Tramps in New York City, played Fastlane in Asbury Park, and played our first date at the Decade. On May 13th, I had a rehearsal with my friend Guitar Slim, Donnie Hollywood, and my friend Steve Moeller from Swissville here, and I was trying to put a band together, calling them the Automatics. I was writing some of the music and producing recordings for them and trying to help them get a career started. The Automatics. May 17th, played Fat City. Roger Probert came again. May 23rd, played The Mistake in Cleveland, and The Mistake was the basement of the Cleveland Agora. It was a little punk rock club, or I don't know what they used, new wave. Back then they used those words, and it was a place where bands that were closer to the earth. A lot of these back in that time. A lot of these beautiful people and bands with giant budgets and great support. They'd play the big rooms and they'd get the airplay. But there was all these other talents and all this music, and the new wave era that were bubbling underneath, that didn't have that stuff. But you could navigate yourself into the business, and I think that's how I got into business, because at the time the business was open to people. That people, bands were getting so big and so worshipped, and so much production and so much support, that it was starting to become distasteful to people. That they started turning away from it and going for street shit and real shit. And I think if that hadn't been going on, a guy that sang as well as I did back then, they wouldn't have let you near a microphone. But you know what? It was that time. And I didn't know it at the time, but I took advantage of that whole scene. May 24th, played the Bank in Akron with a band called Shy Pig. And the Shy Pig, from what I remember, they had this chick that played bass, funky. And I was fascinated by it. It was a really cool act. May 29th, played the Fastlane once again in Asbury Park, opened for a guy named D.L. Byron, who was actually a talented guy. May 31st of that year, played the Meadowbrook in New Jersey. June 1st, played the Fastlane, opened for an act named Greg Kinn. I think he was from San Francisco. And I think I ended up playing with him in Columbus and maybe here and also there in Asbury. But I never met him. We never spoke. On June something, I can't see. Oh, how about this? Oh, June 4th and 5th. On June 4th and 5th, meaning when I say we, me and the Tigers, we went to Atlantic Records Studio B and cut for 2 days, like 2 10-hour sessions at Atlantic Studio B. And Jerry Greenberg, a big Atlantic executive, came and watched us work. And that in itself, you know, I don't want to fluff that off, but at the time, you know, Atlantic Records, Reef Marden, the Greenbergs, these cats, to people that were into soul music and real rock, and you know, Cream, Aretha Franklin, Atlantic was so huge. Wilson Pickett, so soulful, and had so much respect for real music people, and they looked at us. They caught us. They didn't sign us, but they threw us in the studio for a couple of days and heard some shit and passed on us. But man, you know what? They looked up my shorts. I love that. Hey, let's take a break from this and play another song, just because my bullshit is my bullshit. Oh, and while I'm here, I'd like to show you guys something. And I won't open this. Tom, if you could. Hey guys, say hello to my lovely assistant, Tom. He's behind the camera. Right here, ladies and gentlemen. You see this precious? I'll give you a little faster state. Turn it around, look at its ass. No, is that the ass? Or that's the front. Here's the front, and here's the ass. In this particular case, for the past 12 or 13 years, I have kept Freddy Fender's original liver. When he had his first liver transplant, Harry and I went to Texas and purchased his original liver and put it on ice. And we've kept this. It's very secure, and the ice stays cool for, you know, get a couple days out of a good bag of ice. And that liver is just in there like this. Right now, I can't open it because when you open it, you have to refurbish the ice. But right now, picture inside it. You know what's going on? There's a liver in there, and it's going like this. It's still pulsating to the beat of a heart. That liver worked so hard for so long and cleaned so much blood and piss of poisons. You know, I hope it lives forever. I have a feeling it's going to live well past me. But if I ever need liver support, I can take this liver. I open the case. I have a plug-in valve on it. I plug it in, and my liver is supported by a legendary liver. The first liver of Freddy effing Fender. FFF. Get over here, you monkey! All right, I'll put you back in a nice safe place. Very careful when I move this. Be careful. Shh. While I'm moving Freddy Fender's liver. I don't want you to upset. I don't want to upset it. I'll move it over here. Out of sight, because I know you won't be able to take your eyes off of it. I had some songs picked up. I really did. And now I can't find where I have them. Okay. Songs are the lifeblood of our industry. Where would Chris Christopherson be without those songs? Okay, I admit. Handsome cat. Intelligent cat. Interesting cat. Yeah, he had all that going for him. But where would he have been? You noticed all those things about him because of the material. Take the ribbon from your hair. Shake it loose and let it fall. Come on, man. Sunday morning coming down. Did you know that Chris Christopherson flew a helicopter unannounced onto Johnny Cash's property. Landed the goddamn helicopter. Johnny Cash came running out. What the F are you doing here? He said, I showed up here because I'm a songwriter and I need you to hear my music. I didn't make that shit up. That's rock and roll, baby. Are you kidding me? He forced himself into Johnny Cash's life because he knew they needed each other. And then the Highwaymen, years later. Where the hell was I going? I had some glasses. Oh, here they are. Oh, I was going to play a song. Yeah, we'll do this. This song isn't easy to play by myself. And for a long time, I refused it. You ever hear that word before? I refused it to even try it. But I tried it maybe a month or so ago, and I don't want to try it again. And this particular piece of music is, one of the reasons I didn't try it is because it's set up for players, baby. It's set up for the team that's presenting it. The drummer, because it has this very soulful way to play it. Mike Flo used to play it, and he would do 16th notes on a hi-hat with his big gorilla paws. Can you ever picture a gorilla playing 16th notes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then his gorilla paws were amazing. Mike Flo. Funkness on the bass. You know, if you could have a Larry Graham. When I say Larry Graham, I shouldn't make the sign of the cross because he's one of my heroes. The horns, saxophone, tenor, playing lead guitar on it, all that shit's delicious on this number, and we don't have that available. All we have is a little bit of melody and the storyline. And what I'm hoping is the storyline carries us through this performance. So if you would pay particular attention to the lyrics and follow the story of somebody and somebody. Those are the two main characters of the songs. And see if we can do this together. And if I screw up some things, I'm just going to... You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do the same thing you do when a child is born. And this precious, wonderful child is only half Italian. Sad, right? I mean, this baby, it's born, yet it has the benefit of being half Italian. So it has hope. It has dreams. It has greatness. But this poor kid's only half Italian. Only half. So, you know what you do when that happens? You act like nothing's wrong. And there's a good chance that the Italian gene will carry whatever that other gene is, the greatness. Lift it up of the doldrums for whatever it is to the greatness of the Italian gene, which let's not call it Italian for the moment. Let's just call it high Italian. I got a bad feeling somebody's gonna cry. Somebody cheated, somebody lied, that someone told somebody what somebody did. Somebody hurt somebody, and the blues come blowing in. Blues come blowing in. I got a bad feeling the hurt is gonna last. Somebody's got issues, somebody can't get past. Then somebody shot somebody, now somebody's dead. Somebody got arrested, and the blues come blowing in. come blowing in. I got a bad, bad feeling somebody's gonna fry. Someone reads a verdict, somebody's fixing to die. Someone's buried. I screwed it up. I tried to hit that high note. Let's try this verse again. I got a bad, bad feeling somebody gonna fry. Someone reads a verdict, somebody's fixing to die. Now someone's serving somebody, somebody's last dinner, somebody's checking out, and the blues come blowing in. Blues come blowing in. Blues is a feeling, blows in when you're dealing with a cheating heart. Ah, ooh, ooh, ooh. I got a bad, bad feeling. Ain't nobody left to cry. Somebody was murdered, somebody fried. Now someone's burying somebody and somebody chin to chin. The tombstone says somebody hurt somebody. And the blues come blowing in. Blues come blowing in. Hey, hey, yeah. Ooh, 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 Hey, sorry about that, screwing the third verse up. I knew I was going to screw something up with that. But I'm good. Did you follow the storyline? Somebody and somebody. That's the trick to the song. And anytime in the song when you say somebody, it's either the guy that got cheated on or the person who did the cheating. And anyone else is somebody. Or as someone. And when I was writing it, that was I really was really proud of that because I'm not very intelligent, and whenever I can pull something off, it's like that I can actually talk about what I was doing. Well, I want to talk about it because I'm proud because I grew into being able to do that at a later age in life, and you know how effing cool is it to grow into shit, right? In other words. People can better themselves. People can elevate themselves, lift themselves up through education and through hard work. I love that shit. Makes me happy, makes me crazy. Tom's here today. Tom drove in from Erie. Tom, what is the slogan of the city of Erie?
You mean the one about the mistake on the lake?
No, that's Cleveland.
No, there's.
Well, hey, it's so Cleveland that the club we played in Cleveland was named The Mistake. It was in the basement of the Agora.
Yeah.
No, it's something like I forget what.
Oh, there's all kinds of stuff. There's the Gem City, you know.
And that's Erie?
Yeah.
Why Gem?
The Gem City of the Great Lakes. I don't know.
Okay, I was just wondering if there was.
I'm more of the school of the mistake.
But you're still living there.
I have a perverse curiosity about Erie.
He has a perverse. He used the word perverse. That's a good word. Let's go back to talking about what we were. I had talked about the Atlantic Studios. Let's keep moving forward. June 10th, 1980. In fact, June 10th, 1980, my mother's birthday. Eleanor. Nori D.
Were those tracks from Atlantic ever released? Or
No.
were they?
No, they never signed us.
Yeah.
And I have them, but I don't have them digitized.
Yeah.
I have them on quarter-inch tape and cassette. I think we cut 4 songs.
Would you have to like buy those back from Atlantic Records?
At this point, no one gives a crap.
Yeah, right.
Because the business ain't making money. You know, there's a handful of acts in the business today that make money. And I don't know how record companies think today, because it's a whole new world. And I'm left over from the old world. I didn't understand that shit. So how could I understand the new? June 10th, we played the decade with a group called the Jags. Does that mean anything to anybody? I thought maybe it should. June 25th, we played New York City again at that club called Tramps. And that night, a guy named Clem Burke came to watch us play, and I met him. Capitol Records also came, and so did William Morris. Billy Morris came. You know what they came for? To look at that little dago. Had him some tigers. Getting up on stage, prancing around, acting like a biggest shot. They were looking up my skirt. I must have been doing something wrong, right? Yeah, I was. June 27th, played the Fastlane again. Opened for a band, BB. Beaver Brown. They used to, all the locals, we ended up knowing all the locals from Asbury Park. And Beaver Brown always played in Asbury. And they used to call him Beaver Brown. They always go, Beaver on the edge of Brown. And I think that had something to do with Bruce Springsteen having a Darkness on the Edge of Time. But Beaver on the Edge of Brown, when you think about the picture of that, I'm not going to say any more. If you can't get that picture in your head, then you've never seen anybody naked. Dave Marsh was there that night of Rolling Stone magazine, and also a very cool guy named Vince Scelsa, who was a big legendary DJ at WNEW in New York City. On June 28th, opened for the Bangs. Does that name mean anything? These bands are, you know, at the time they were hopefuls. The Bangs opened for the... So on June 27th, we opened for the Beavers, and on the 28th, we opened for the Bangs at the same club, the Fastlane. I could do a whole thing talking about the Fastlane. I was thinking about that a little earlier, and I think of the bands we played with at the Fastlane were The Rest, which was Johnny Bonds was the singer for. There was a chick out there that everybody loved named Carolyn Moss. Real talented. We opened for her. She got a deal with who, I don't know. D.L. Byron, which I mentioned. Southside Johnny and his Asbury Jukes, we opened for them there. There was a chick named Lori Beachman, and she ended up getting a deal with Capitol, and I think Roger Probert put that together. And once again, Beaver Brown. But there's other bands we played with there. I just can't remember them all. Maybe it'll come up as we start looking at these other years in my sorry life. Let's do another song. Songs, I have them. An endless supply of them. And before we do it, I want to say this. One day, when we evolve from the Norman Nardini Alone series, and I don't know when that'll be, but it won't be, 10 years. We're going to do something, and we're going to start featuring less bullshit and more music, and I'll bring in a musician or two, and we'll just start giving me a chance to shut the F up and play and feature some other cats. I think my friend Lamont Samuels, I have him in the wings, and I've been thinking about that little Pollock a lot, about getting him in. Wonderful singer, mandolin, dobro, guitar, and squeeze boxer. He plays the goddamn squeeze box. He has a nice little Hohner accordion that he beats the hell out of. I love the shit out of it. So eventually, we're going to evolve into playing more music and less bullshit. But we're going to work like this for a little while longer. Tom and I, together. Tom from The Mistake on the Lake. Me, as Racetrack Mike would say.
Somebody commented, Miami, Erie, Miami of the North.
Somebody wrote that in? Is it somebody from Erie?
I don't know. Sheila Holt.
I think I know her. I think I know her. I think I know her from Goofies. Ask her if I know her from Erie. Or from Goofies. Did this one a couple months ago on here, and never really did it live much. But when I would, sometimes I'd have my friend Whitey Clyde Cooper sing the living crap out of it with his somewhere between doo-wop and soul singing voice. And he would just take this thing and tenderly render it and just break it down to its essential feelings. Me, I'm going to sing it through a bullhorn and send it out to Cindy Gaish, a buddy of ours, DJ, and a friend. She came out to see us about a year ago. We were playing up at Scottsdale with the Fireman's Club, and we ended up just laughing and hanging together, and Harry, me, her, and Harry just talking stupid shit and putting on a goofball show. Boy, what a great night we had. There's a road that winds through the country, and there's a river beside that road. There the trees grow tall, and when there's no wind at all, you could hear the grass grow. And there's a mountain by the bend in that river, and on that mountain there sits a small town. The autumn glows gold, winter unfolds into springtime, summer sun shining down on a town with no name that welcomed all who came. So they came from the world around. Rich men and poor men, they all live the same in this town, town with no name. Way up there in the mountain air, when a gentle wind rolls through the pines, you could still feel the heat from the cobblestone street as you reach out and touch the cloud in the sky. And there's a star that shines in the heavens that lights up the road to this town. And if you follow that star from wherever you are, you'll be homeward bound to a town with no name that welcomed all who came. So they came from the world around. Rich men and poor men, they all live the same in this town, town with no name, town with no name. Town with no name, baby. I don't know if you noticed, but let me tell you something. That particular number is played in 3/4 time. Most of the music, pop music we hear, it's in 4/4 time. But when you slice up the beat into threes, what you're doing is you're making the music, you're taking the music to the most romantic time signature of all. 1, 2, 3, 2. When I think of back in the colonial times, and the women would wear those giant dresses with the wire that would come out, and it would go out this far, and then their dresses socially distanced them bitches, you know what I'm saying? Because their dresses kept them 6 feet apart, because each was had 3 feet of wire and dress around their privates, which made it tough for a guy if he was trying to get an angle on a little. But 3/4 time, I think of square-toed shoes and real tight pants, where your package bulges out, and you have to push it to the side. And when you're talking to a chick, you stand there like this. That's right. So their eyes don't go down to see what you're holding. Is he golden? And is he holding? That's what they're asking. Has he got any dinero? And can he get any business done? Is he a businessman? Or is he not? Could he take care of a little? If he's any kind of a man, I hope he could. You've often heard me say that I'm a clown looking for a circus. I know for a fact that my niece, Rena, is afraid of clowns. Bitch is afraid of them. So me and my old lady, my old lady found this shit on the internet of these like girls' socks, and on the socks was pictures of clowns. And she says to me, she says, "Look what I found." I says, "Yeah?" And she says, "Do you know what I'm thinking?" I says, "Tell me." She says, "I'm thinking Arena." She says, "She hates clowns. We have to get these for her." And so just to jerk her. That's how my family is. That's the kind of presents you might receive from somebody in my family. So we gave her some socks with clowns on them. Just to yank her chain. Hi, Ring. I don't know if you're watching. And I hope you're not. Because I ain't no goddamn good. A clown looking for a circus. Is there anyone who's watching tonight that might be afraid of clowns? Anyone in our atmosphere that has a fear, besides my niece Rena, has a fear of clowns? Or is there anyone watching who admires clowns and would like to start a career as a clown? There's all kind of clowns to be that haven't been yet. Or maybe I just don't know. How about in Pittsburgh, we had a Buffo the clown who was a bodybuilder and a clown. You know, you don't think of you think of a clown and have a little gut, you know, and just coming in all droopy and shit. But no, this guy, I hate my guts. He dropped one. He was a bodybuilder and a clown at the same time. You love him, right? How about that? You know, Sherry sent me this thing of a clown that has a nice, beautiful singing voice. You know who I mean, Tom? He's out there nowadays, and he sings, and he's kind of like a sad clown, but he's cool, and he has a nice singing voice, and he sings good stuff. Maybe if Sherry was watching, she could let us know what his name was, because she told me about him. She turned me on to him. Obviously, she turned me on to him. What did I do? Forget. But I wrote a song a year or two ago, and I never really played it live. But it's a song called, the name of the song is Clown, but the hook line of the song is, I'm looking for a circus that's looking for a clown. In other words, it's a clown looking for work. You know, clowns got problems too. You know, they're looking for, clown's like a rock and roll musician. I'm looking for a gig. Is there anyone out there that'll hire? I'm a guitar player. I saw an ad. I'm a guitar player looking for a gig with a band that'll let me jack off on my guitar all night. That was the ad. I hope he got a job. But that's what he wanted to do. There's a lot of guitar players who are looking for a gig where they get their guitar and jack off on it all night. I don't want to hire that guy. You know who I want to hire? I want to hire a guy that's sensitive to the needs of the material. That's sensitive to what the song needs. You know who really did a good job for me? I tell you. A couple years ago, a year ago, I don't know, I had McKay come out and play guitar with me. And when and these types of Starlight, and when you come and play with me at the Starlight with Texas Tex or Sammy, Lamont, you don't know what I'm going to call. You don't know the songs even. You're a musician and you play. And you listen. And you put your antennas up and your ears get real big. Like that guy that plays shortstop for the Pirates right now. He's got some big ass ears on him. Oh, he was part of the Seinfeld infield. I forget what his name. Kramer. Was it Kramer? No, it's the other one. Newman. He got some great ears on him.
Puddles the clown.
Sherry watching?
Puddles the clown. No, Jim Dealey.
James Dog Dealey out in L.A., baby. We got, you know what? We're connected to L.A. right now. Yo, L.A. How about the night I was in L.A. in 1975 to be on the Dick Clark show with the Diamonds? And our manager at the time, Tom Causey, locked me and the Beadman in our hotel room, his Holiday Inn. Locked us in and says, I'm going to be back here at 5 o'clock in the morning to pick you guys up. Because we had to be at the Dick Clark show, American Bandstand, like at 6 o'clock in the morning. That's when they filmed it. And he locked us in the room. I says, don't worry about us. We're going to get some good sleep. We're going to be great tomorrow. Don't even worry about it. As soon as he left the room, me and the Beadman hit the street. We ended up at, I think it was the Whiskey A Go-Go. And we saw Bobby Blue Bland singing with a horn band. I think it was the Whiskey, and it was just, well, can I use the word super delicious to be out in L.A. with my boy, two Swiss fellers in L.A., young and pretty as we was. Beadman was pretty like Brian Jones was pretty. You think Brian Jones wasn't pretty? You think he didn't see a couple girls naked? Think about it. How about that one song? And I don't know who wrote it, but I think it might have been Chris Christopherson. Till I Can Gain Control Again. You remember it? Willie Nelson sang it with Amy Irving in a cowboy movie he made in the 70s. And it was just... If he didn't write it, Rodney Crowell might have wrote it. Rodney effing Crowell might have wrote it.
Honeysuckle Rose, that movie?
My lovely assistant, Tom, hit that nail on the effing head. Honey, he said suckle. Let me say it a couple times. Suckle. 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 Honeysuckle Rose. Diane Cannon was Willie's love interest in that?
Yeah.
I bet you
was
Willie...
his actual wife. His wife in the movie.
Yeah.
And Amy Irving was like the young singer that was trying to make a name for herself.
And Willie developed an interest in her.
And Willie developed an interest in her.
He's just a man. He was just a man. The first thing you want to know if you want to get along with men, learn how to forgive. Because men, we're frail. We do shit we shouldn't do. Hopefully, as we gain knowledge and gain manfulness, we do less shit that we shouldn't do. But Honeysuckle Rose, right? And I remember Willie singing and Amy Irving singing "Till I Can Gain Control Again." That line, just that line.
I can't remember the name of it. I know the moment in the movie, but I can't remember the name of the song.
Yeah, it's real slow. And I thought it was Chris Christopherson, but now I'm pretty sure it was Rodney Crowell that wrote it. If Dealey's watching in L.A., Deal, let us Pennsyltuckians know if it was Rodney Crowell that wrote it, or if it was Chris. Let me know. That got
Rodney's no slouch as a songwriter either.
No question. We're talking big talents, right? These are the heroes. These are the guys that I looked up to.
15 minutes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
My lovely assistant Tom, he gave me one of these. He gave me a 3-5er. 15 effing minutes. That's, you don't know how much I need to do this shit.
If James Brown did that to you, meant you
were fined $15.
$150.
I love that. Tom just mentioned that, James Brown on stage, if you missed a note, or you missed an entry into the song, or you missed a hit, or you played the wrong chord, James would look at you on stage and shoot you a number and tell you that's how much it's going to cost you at the end of the gig. That's how a band leader runs a band. Being a band leader, you think that shit's easy? Like I said before, guitar player looking for a gig needs a band that'll let me jack off all over your music. You know what? Keep looking, because that ain't what I need. Maybe there's somebody out there that needs that. I don't need that. I need a guy that can learn arrangements. I need a guy that listens to the music and listens to the difference between the volume of the band and the volume of the vocals. And when he's playing, can the audience hear the words? Can I hear the words as I'm playing? These are the kinds of things that real musicians that work learn to be sensitive to the writers and to the singers. If you want to work as a musician, you need material to perform over. And being sensitive to the needs of the material of the singers and the writers gives, like I said, I had McKeag come out and play a night with me. And everyone will talk about McKeag's singing. He has a gospel-y sounding voice. He had that voice when he was a little kid, little half hunky, half Mick. When he started singing, I love guys like this, like McKeag. He had it from the time he was a little kid. When he starts singing, everybody in the room turns around and looks. And when you looked at McKeag, he didn't look like the guy that voice should be coming out of, but he was. You know who's another guy like that I worked with? Mark Stutzo. Played drums with me for a while. And when I have a cat that can sing, I'll always have him sing a couple songs, usually my songs. And Stutzo was the same way. I'd sing like 12 songs in a effing row, and then I'd throw a bone at Stutzo. And as soon as Stutzo started singing, I'd watch every goddamn eye in that room turn around and looked at the stage. Because when he opened his mouth, what came out was a man's voice. McKeag the same way. When he opens his mouth, a man's voice come out that commanded your attention. The sound of it. How great is that to have that gift? I never had that gift. But I love Whitey Cooper. How about that? Whitey's so white that his skin's almost green. Did you ever meet anybody like that? In fact, when we used to room on the road, sometimes after it got dark out, we didn't need to turn no lights on, because naked, Whitey glows in the dark. He's so whitish green. Almost like a character in a monster movie. Did I ever tell you about the time we were playing up in The Mistake? About 60 miles over from your mistake, Tom. And we're in the hotel room. Me and Whitey are sitting up drinking beers and smoking joints. Harry, who had started partying earlier than us, had fallen asleep. He's laying there for a couple hours. We're getting ready to wind down and go to sleep ourselves, probably about 5 o'clock in the morning. Just me and Whitey. And as we're sitting there smoking and drinking and talking, Harry gets up out of bed. And when Harry sleeps like this. He looks like, when Harry's sleeping, if you opened a sarcophagus, and I don't even know what that is, but if you opened an Egyptian tomb and looked at the body that was encased there. That's what Harry looks like when he's sleeping, because when Harry sleeps, he doesn't move a goddamn muscle. And he would sleep like this, on his back. Never move. He gets up, walks. We figure, oh, you got to take a leak. He gets up, walks right past the bathroom, goes into the closet, and takes a piss. Goes back and lays down in bed. I didn't say nothing. Whitey didn't say nothing. And the next day, driving home, I'm thinking, this same man for last night, he pissed in a closet. I got to straight. I don't like to be the boss. I hate being the boss. But sometimes the musicians or crew makes you be the boss, makes you act like the boss. I hate doing it. Maybe that's why I'm not the greatest boss in the world, because I hate it. But I figure I gotta, for the sake of us all, and for the sake of the goddamn system, I've got to straighten him out. So as we're driving back on the Ohio Turnpike, I love saying turnpike, I says to him, I says, hey H, I said, and I'm trying to be a little bit serious. I'm like, hey, last night, about 5 o'clock in the morning, me and Whitey are still up. You were sleeping. You get up. You walk right past the bathroom, walk in the closet, and took a piss. And I says, dude, what's up with that shit? And he looks over at me, straight-faced, and he goes like this. He says, man, it was Cleveland. And when he said that, I took the words out of my mouth, took the hate out of my heart. And I just looked back at him, I was like, you mother... I couldn't even yell at him because he said that. And it's a Pittsburgh thing. You'd have to, if you're not from Pittsburgh, you might not understand. There's a war between Pittsburgh and Cleveland, an unspoken war of breaking balls. Mike Miller from Cleveland recently came to see me at the Starlight. And he's just a smart shit little Mick. I want to beat his ass half the time. And he's sitting there in the audience, sitting at the bar, and jerking me from the audience in between songs as I'm bullshitting. And then he starts with it, and he's kind of like a little kid. And he goes like this to me, Pittsburgh started it, Pittsburgh started it. Whenever that Cleveland defensive player hit Pittsburgh's second string quarterback on the head with his own helmet. And Miller's going, Pittsburgh started it. That's just what Cleveland, they can get on your nerves. Mike Miller, I don't even want to tell you how much I love him. Or how much Moondog loves him. I think Moondog has a man crush on Miller. I'll tell you this. I think if Moondog had the chance, Miller, he'd bend him and send him. I'm just telling you. I'm just putting that out on the table. Mooney, I miss you. Miller, I miss you. I miss all my peoples. You become friends when you do this shit and you work in the joints. A lot of these people that are savvy enough to make a buck in this business. You can't make a buck selling food and music and booze. You got to be savvy. You got to be smart. You got to be on your toes. You got to know what the hell's up. And a lot of these cats are really fun to be around. I got so many a-hole friends that are real hip, real sharp. There's a couple of them right there, Mooney and Miller. Looking for an effing clown. Anybody, I don't know, circuses aren't what they used to be. And I can understand why, because I'm an animal guy. We have a Chihuahua at home, Lucy. And I told you I didn't like that goddamn dog when I brought her home. But that little son of a bitch broke me down. Lick by lick. I got a buddy, I bring her over to visit him. And you know what he does? He fusses over that little bitch, overfeeds her, rubs her face, talks to her, reads poetry to the little goddamn Mexican, and ruins her for me. I come home, I bring her home, she's looking at me like, aren't you going to read me some poetry? Aren't you going to hold me in your arms and rock me? No, I got a life to live. I got a lot of anger. But I got a lot of love. I'll wrap my loving arms around you, smack you right on your shit can, and send you back to your mother. How about this shit? How you doing? Look in the mirror, what do I see? Face of a clown looking at me. Ain't good for much more than a laugh. Jokes that have cracked, you don't know the half. And you can tell the ringmaster that I'm in town. And I'm looking for a circus, looking for a clown. My kind of work, it's hard to find. Barnum and Bailey come to mind. If they're looking for a man that's funny, I'll be under the big top making my money. That's the way I see it going down. And I'm looking for a circus, looking for a clown. There's folks that tell you I'm the best in the biz. Road dog like me been everywhere that there is. Jersey Shore, nothing but smile in a roadhouse. They roll in the armor. You can talk to my agent and he'll set you straight. Tell you I was climbing right out of the gate. Aim to please, you gotta need to amuse just to hear. Take away your blues and you can bet your sweet ass I've been around. And I'm looking for a circus. Looking for a circus. Looking for a circus. Looking for a clown. Well, well, well. Clowns. You think rock and roll's a tough gig? Being a clown, that's hard work. I'm not man enough to even try. Boy, I had a mess of songs I was going to play, and we ran out of time. Let me tell you what you missed. I was going to play America's Son. I was going to play 3 Times Your Fool. I was going to play I Was Blind Till I Saw You. And right now, I'm going to do this because I forgot to do it. And I really wanted to. The very sight of dust makes Annie mean. Her children say she crazy. She's a cleaning machine. Saw a speck of dirt on the kitchen floor. Annie went to work. Don't see that dirt no more. Annie, Dustpan Annie. Her cleaning is uncanny. Dustpan Annie. Annie loves her broom like a banker loves his money. Cleaning up that mess like the ever-ready bunny. She's a white tornado when she gets it in gear. She'll throw you in the trash, so you best steer clear of Annie. Dustpan Annie. Her cleaning is uncanny. Dustpan Annie. Annie, cleaning up that mess. Annie, don't get no dirt on her dress. She'll get up off her fanny. Dustpan Annie. Hands and knees, elbow grease, a bucket and a brush, spick and span, everything sparkle when her shit hits the fan. Annie cleaned the house, said she didn't like the smell. Saw a spider on the wall, sent that spider straight to hell. When she finished with the job, she took her broom for a ride, waving at the neighbors as she went flying by. Annie, Dustpan Annie. Her cleaning is uncanny. Dustpan Annie. Annie, straighten up the place. Annie got a big smile on her face. Annie, she got a broom and a mop. Annie, that bitch don't never stop. She get up off her fanny. Dustpan Annie. Send it out to my sister. Too beautiful. Years ago, we used to watch the Solid Gold and the dancers. The lead dancer was a beautiful black girl, had long hair with like beads in it and stuff like that. And then at the end of every dance, she would blow the stink off her ass. And all the other dancers would do it. This is back in the 70s. She'd get up there, she'd be dancing, killing it. And then at the end, she'd do this. She'd go like this. And me and my old lady used to always say, look at her, she's blowing the stink off her ass. How effing cool is that? Whoa! Norma Nardini alone, 11. It's been said that no one has that much bullshit. But I, Nicodemus, Amadeus, Valentino, Giovanni, and all the rest of them, I got more bullshit than a barn. How about my friend Nathan Gig? We used to call him bull balls. You know why? Good. I'm glad you don't. I don't think there's any pictures circulating. Love yous. Good night to my Starlight people. If there's any people with the Starlight still hanging, still can put up with my bullshit. Hey, I'm coming out to pick up some goddamn pierogies, maybe a fish sandy. Love y'all. I'll give you a smack right on your shit can and send you back home to your old lady. I'm just riffing now, baby. We're done?
We're done.
Touch me.